I'm Tory Rockwood. This is Steve Rockwood, and we're going to be talking about the starting gates and at the Prineville Fair and Rodeo. And back in the early '60s, we had a ranch in Palo Butte, and my dad had always raised horses, but he was interested in the fair and rodeo, so he got on the fair and rodeo board. It was one board at that time. The fair and the rodeo were not separate, so they were together. And Dad decided that he wanted on the board, so he got on the board, and then they gave him the job of first year of starting the horse races. The horse races were without a starting gate. Of course, at the time, it was just you used a gun and you fired the gun and the horses took off, and it was actually mayhem because all the jockeys wanted to cheat and get a head start, and so it took forever to get them started, and it was just a headache. So he decided that next year he would build a starting gate, and so at the ranch we did that, build a starting gate that was a full 7 horses, which was amazing. It started with a big one and then worked down eventually to the smaller ones later. But so the next year, he and I ran the starting gate, and that worked pretty well. The starting gate was just a first attempt, but it worked for all the races. And then by that time, at the end of that racing weekend, we determined that there was going to be some improvements that needed to be made. So the gate was taken back out to the ranch, and we modified it to make. In other words, it was a big rope that you pulled to make all the gates open initially, and that was changed to an electric mechanism that you just pressed a button and it did. So that worked well for the following year, and then the ranching business was kind of waning at the time, so there was an opportunity probably to make starting gates for commercial sales at various tracks and training places. So that started in probably the middle '60s, and there was an opportunity in Redmond. They were opening up a industrial area. So the industrial area was they built a building just for doing starting gate manufacture. It was long and narrow, and that building still exists. It's the Trade and Tools location in Redmond, and so built several starting gates. We took one of them, and it was a rental. So we traveled from fair to fair mostly in Oregon, and ran the racing program for these little fairs, and that was a lot of work, but the fairs liked it because it was just they didn't have to worry about anything. We ran the races, and then there were some trainers that had a need for a smaller gate. 3-horse was typically what they would want to train horses. The training gate business started to take off, and those were sold to individual people. I know that Don Drysdale, the famous pitcher for one of the national baseball teams, had a little training operation, and he bought one. There was a little training facility in Sisters. I think it was called the Rodeo Creek Ranch, and they bought a 3-horse gate. And so we sold several 3-horse gates over the next,
Hudspeth also.
and Hudspeth also bought a gate. So we sold them to a number of different people. We did sell a large gate, an 8-horse, to the Oregon State Fair. The Oregon State Fair was anxious to get a starting gate. The other major company in the United States was called Pruitt Gate Company, and Pruitt was based out of New York, and their gate was quite a bit more complicated and really, really old school compared to the one we had built. But they were in pretty tight with the Parimutuel and the Jockeys Association, the Jockeys Guild. So they protested that gate, and so they claimed that it didn't meet standards, and they really wanted us to not sell the gate there. But we had a contract, so they said, okay, well we'll use it, but you have to enlarge the stalls by I think 3 or 4 inches, which meant the entire gate had to be redone and extended. It was a huge issue. But anyway, the State Fair ran that for several years after that. They don't have that gate anymore. I don't know that they even do races anymore. But so anyway, the starting gate business was maintained up until about 68, I think. And then we kind of ran out of customers because you only sell one customer one gate, and they're good for 20, 30, 40 years. And so we, at that point, started phasing out of that and phased into a Jeep dealership that was available. And so the Jeep dealership was acquired, and that Jeep dealership is now the Bend Jeep dealership. Went through a couple of hands before it went up there. So that was kind of the end of the starting gate business. And like I say, the building is still there; it still exists. As far as the racing and all that, there was a move to make the racing parimutuel betting. So they wanted to add parimutuel betting, and so our dad was the kind of the driving force behind that, and so that was started back in the 60s, and so that's kind of history. The starting gate that exists in Prineville is the original gate, not the original one that was kind of the first gate, but it was the second one probably, or third, that we built, and that still exists and it's still used to this day.